absolutely. Well said, boys. Let's move on to. Oh, jeez. This is going to be a, a very, very loaded portion of the podcast this week.
Are we dubbing this the airing of grievances episode, Kat? We haven't done one in a while.
It is the area of grievances. I'm going to let you go first, Doc. Here, we've got to talk about the Bulldogs on the weekend. Now, two very similar circumstances for our teams. It was basically win or go home. Finals on the line. Dogs dropped the game to the Hawks. We know that you needed to win here to lock in a final spot, but I don't really know how else you can describe the display against the Eagles other than pathetic, really.
Last week on the podcast, I said the effort against Hawthorn was pathetic. And before I go any further, I want to actually say, I was at the game with my brothers and my cousin on yesterday. As the game unfolded, talked to my cousin, and him and I were sharing the same opinion that, one team wanted to play for their coach. We know Adam Simpson was under fire the past week after, a fifth 100-point loss this season. We saw it from the first bounce. They were hard at it. They came to play. They did everything right, the Eagles, and that's a team playing for their coach. What the hell did I see from this team? My team. It's pathetic, doesn't even begin to describe what I saw on Sunday at Marvel Stadium. I think about 6 players in that team could actually put their hand up and say that they did a good job on Sunday. Marcus Bontempelli, I love him to death, and he could talk whatever he wants, about the fans, about his performance, whatever. I'll follow him to the edge of the world. Thought Liam Jones was really good. Without him, James O'Donnell as well was another one. Had someone claim to me that he went 50% by foot, but his work aerially was phenomenal for a guy who's probably not even played a dozen games yet. He's really been starting to come into his own the last few weeks. Ed Richards was good. He responded after a terrible game against Hawthorn. Thought Adam Treloar was okay. Again, very iffy by foot, but at least he cracked in. He could also make a case for Riley West. I thought he dug in. And Liam Jones, Rory Lobb. Can't believe you say this, but he was the most dangerous forward on the ground for the Dogs on Sunday.
What went wrong, Doc, from the get-go? Because you talk about the Eagles' intent around the football, and Tim Kelly was the barometer of that, and obviously the main reason. But I felt like the Bulldogs, not even around the midfield in particular, but their just want for the contest was just lacking in, obviously, a must-win game, really.
Luke Beveridge said pre-game, Miller, and it was interesting that this came up. He was asked about how he was feeling about the game, and he said that he was feeling on edge and the players were on edge, which speaks to me that he's not confident about the playing group. No. And it resulted. This team is just completely spineless. Yeah. I'm so sick of this damn team.
I don't understand, Doc. How do you come out not feeling confident against the Eagles? Shouldn't you be saying this is our chance to really put our foot down and show what we're made of before finals?
Finals on the line, 18th place team at home. If you were at the game, you would have understood that they were peddling the promotion of member appreciation game. Yeah. There was no fucking appreciation with this team. With the exception of those I've mentioned before, this playing group didn't give a shit.
No,
it was pure crap from the word get. And this is not one person. Yes, Bevo should go, but it's not just him. And let me break it down from the order of hierarchy. It stems back to December, where Amit Baines, our CEO, Chris Grant, the head of football department, gave him a 2-year extension for I don't know what. I don't know why. They just shat the bed in Perth against Fremantle back in September last year, and they thought that was good enough. Chris Grant said there was no man that was better suited for the job than Luke Beveridge.
I could name 50, 100 other people that are better suited.
I don't mind the notion of backing your man in, but this is ridiculous. You give him by the midpoint of the year 7-3. Yeah, that's a good job. They responded after a very poor start, but since then I think we've only won 4 games and lost about 9 or 10.
Kat, how do you correlate the talent of the list to getting wins? Because it's something that the Dogs haven't done. Obviously, the big talk, particularly last week before Kenneth signed his deal, that would you rather the consistency of making the top four like Port do, or somebody like Bevo who's gotten the flag, hasn't had that top four? How do you, Kat, link up the two between what is it that is going to add the talent and the wins together?
It's a hard one. It's a very hard one because clearly Bevo doesn't know.
No.
I don't think he's got any clue how to make that happen at the moment. And I don't know. It's hard to say because throughout multiple points of probably the past 3 or 4 years, the Dogs have looked like they could be a genuine top four team and have played like that. Then they'll have runs like this, and they seem to have it so often coming into finals where they'll just drop form, suddenly out of nowhere. The same thing happened in that 2021 season. You were just probably lucky, Doc, that you had that remarkable finals run to get you to the grand final because you certainly weren't looking like a strong finals team before that, choking the top four. But
my next problem, Kat,
I think it's mental. Part of it's mental as well, Doc, I think, for mine.
It's definitely mental. My Meet Bain said about a month and a half ago. I think this was after the loss to Sydney. He was questioned about whether or not they had a top four list. The answer was, yeah, we do. They haven't played consistency at that level. I'm going quote for quote here. They haven't played consistency at that level, and the analysis will show that some of the consistency at a team level obviously is mirrored by key individuals at different times. But if you look at the nucleus of that team, they're going as well as anyone on the competition, and you build a side around that. Now you look at the core nucleus of that team, Miller. Tim English, All Australian ruckman. You can lock it in. Aaron Norton, Jamara Ugle-Hagan. I'll cut Jamara a little bit of slack because he's in his third season. Aaron Norton needs to piss off with this headband, mullet, afro bullshit and actually play like a damn football player. You got good, key defenders. That's a work in progress. Liam Jones is proving to be a very, very good pickup. James O'Donnell looks like he's going to be the future. Jed Bustling is going to be a future player. It's a work in progress, and I think we need to understand that. Luke Beveridge was questioned about this team yesterday in the press conference, and I swear to God, it was 10 minutes of my life that I will not get back, gentlemen. It is the same nonsense that he has dished up. We didn't even get a damn apology from him to the supporters, to the members who paid to see this shit.
For the emblem. So, Bevo's sacked. I think it's confirmed for mine. He gets paid. Well, that's right. I agree with that, Kat. Even if they make finals. So that means he's paid out a year of his deal. They've got to look fresh. I think they've got to look at someone completely non-related to the club, do something like a Craig McRae, because I think the question I asked before is the way to link the talent and the wins is going to be with fresh eyes. I think that the way they've approached it is been okay for too long, and okay isn't acceptable anymore for a team that is this good on paper, because the way that they won their flag and how they were so successful isn't how the game is being played right now, I think.
No.
Just a quote on the question about the list. Luke Beveridge said this verbatim. Are you looking at our whole list, or are you looking at players who have been influential in the past? Is your knowledge of the game sophisticated enough to understand that it takes more than a handful of players? If the assessment is that there's more in us than what we're getting, then that's an analytical thing that you're totally entitled to. So, in other words, Miller, he's going back on what Amit Bain said about 2 months ago, and has completely said this list isn't good enough.
Which is wrong.
Sorry, it's complete shit. And I'm sick of this man coming in and telling us and deflecting that this isn't good. That they're filling us with false hope here, Miller.
Yeah.
Well, is the list good enough, Doc? In your opinion?
No.
Look, you look at the list, top line talent. Yeah, sure, it's there. Good midfielders, good ruckman, good forwards. Probably the couple of areas of concern, mid-sized defenders, because Taylor Duray needs to fuck off. Small forwards, Cody Waitman. He's playing up in the midfield, for Christ's sake. He's not kicking goals up there. Get him back and get him back and humming around the feet of the tall forwards.
It's strange because I thought you had a forward structure you found that was working, Doc, with him in there and the structure of that, but it just seems to go out the window. Things that work don't seem to stick for too long.
You look at we talk about the bottom six as well, Miller, a lot. James O'Donnell, we think he's going to be a good player. Anthony Scott's been very good. Some could argue he's had an improved year. You know, look at guys like Lockie McNeil, for example. How many times have we gone to the well with this man, and he's dished up shit time and time again?
The well.
He should be stuck in the well for the rest of his playing days.
I'm going to go out and say, Doc, that the Dogs' bottom 6 is the worst in the top 12 teams in the competition.
I mean, Latham Vandermeer? Are you kidding me?
Would you agree with that? That the Dogs' bottom 6 players are not top 8 quality?
Our bottom 6 players would not wipe the boots off of anyone in the top 4. It's just our depth. And I caught this saying this with a couple of dog supporters as we were storming out of Marvel Stadium yesterday. Who's coming through in the VFL? The answer is not many.
We asked this, Doc, your young midfielders, who's coming through at the moment? And if Bailey Smith leaves, you've basically got... piss him off anyway, but...
I say to Sam Power, do what you got to do. Offer Bailey Smith to Geelong for free. Offer him for a bag of fucking chips, for crying out loud. He's not worth that, Cat. He's not worth that.
Not the way he's playing right now. It's a great question, though, Cat, about the talent coming through, because it's sort of a bit sparse. And I don't know. I just feel like the Dogs are very stale. I feel like this is a box of cereal that's been sitting in the cupboard for 6 years, and it's just gone off, and it's time to get someone else in and get this going, because the longer it festers, stuff like what Doc quoted before, Cat, about what Beveridge said about the confidence, if that drips down to, which it obviously has, down to the players, if that gets down to the young players, we've got some really big issues then in terms of culture going forward.
Yeah.
And what I thought was the greatest, and this is where I think we need to start the change, Miller, was Chris Grant on SEN this afternoon, and I've got some, and again, quotes from the man himself. And don't get me wrong, love Chris Grant. Great bloke, down-to-earth bloke to talk to, amazing football player. I grew up, I loved the bloke. He was my idol as a child. But as this football boss thing, no good.
We need to see Doc yet. On-field players changed. Off-field, something's got to give him the Footy department.
After a day, not even 24 hours removed after we lost to a team that had been belted by 100 points 5 times this season, Gat, I remain really confident we made the right decision.
What does that mean? What does that mean? I mean, that is just...
look, in fairness to him, he can't go on SEN and say, look, we fucked up.
I mean,
he could say, look, we're gonna sort this issue out. This is a problem, but it's just so mad. It's so passive. It's just passive answers here. It angers me, and without a shadow of doubt, it's resonated with a lot of Bulldog supporters on social media too. We've had enough. This is it. It's over, Bevo.
Time for change.
Get him out. Josh Carr, get him on the phone. Give these boys some backbone, damn it.
Jeez.
Wow.
Fair enough, Doc. Fair enough, mate. Assistant coaches as well, I would like to see an overhaul in that group too.
There's no plan B either, Miller. I mean, Tim Kelly was allowed to run right in the first quarter, and there was no answers. No one went to him after quarter time. Luke Beveridge opted to persist with Alex Keith on Oscar Allen. That didn't work. Bailey Dale was the man who gave Jamie Cripps 3 of his 5 goals. And we have said on this podcast time and time again, that man is defensively inept.
Yes.
What the hell is this?
Well, you wouldn't have seen it, Doc, at the game, but on the coverage, they interviewed Adam Simpson at halftime, and they were talking about Tim Kelly getting off the leash. And I think it was Ben Dixon asked if he's worried about the Dogs tag, and Simo actually laughed and said, no, Bevo doesn't do that. And I think that's an issue in itself. If you are so predictable as an opposition coach that you know that there's not even a chance of somebody being run with, then there's some issues from there. But,
and that's what pisses me off, Miller. It is now regressed to the point where a man who is coaching the 18th place football club, percentage of 50. 50!
He's laughing at you.
Is laughing at a question about Bevo tagging players. What a joke.
It is a joke.
Pathetic.
He's had enough this week. They're out, Cat. They're gone.
I've had enough.
I don't think I can follow that up with that much passion.
Well, we've got to talk